enjoy part of your weekend.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dave and Lou with the Trending Insurrection. We are live. The little green button, or the little green dot here
Trending
confirms that we are live.
Insurrection.
Figured out now how to get these to save up to the cloud and be available afterwards.
Great.
We think.
Great.
We hope.
We'll work on it.
We wonder.
Yeah, we hope.
So,
Yeah.
I've actually been doing some live streams this week, and that has kind of helped out. I've been doing them on the other channel. Citizens are not slaves, you know? So,
Yeah.
So you know what I heard this week that I thought I want to talk about more? And I think I want to talk about traditional relationships more, you know? And you're going to see where I'm going with
I
this here in a
think we
second.
need to, yeah.
But,
Entertain me.
Yeah, you know, I don't like divorce, and I think that you should be able to do what is necessary to stop a divorce from happening.
Well,
You know, don't you think?
yeah, I think so. That's 50% of Americans.
No. 50% of divorces. That's not 50% of Americans, and that's actually an important point. I know people.
50% of Americans who have been divorced.
Oh, okay. Believe.
That 50% of all Americans get divorced.
So, it's actually 50% of divorces, or 50% of marriages end in divorce.
Yeah.
But what they don't tell you is that a lot of those marriages are being engaged in by the same people.
Repeaters.
Repeat offenders, yeah.
Repeaters.
So, you know, first marriages have a much higher stability rate than, say, second marriages or third marriages. Second marriages and third marriages, now assuming that the person you're getting married to ended that prior marriage through a divorce,
Go on.
they have a much lower percentage chance of lasting because people are like, well, you know, those are already the people who are going to bail when things get tough. So, basically, if you marry somebody who's been married before, there's a good chance that that'll end in divorce. If you and the other person have never been married before, you have a much better chance. If you're marrying a widower or a widow, you have a good chance of not getting divorced because they stuck it out. I mean, maybe they killed their partner, but they stuck it out. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
There's no chance. There's a chance that could be a black widow or widower.
Ooh, they're saying that millennials will stay married longer, actually, than
Well,
the
if
baby
they
boomers, than the
get
baby
married at all.
boomers and the Generation Xers.
Well,
That's what they're saying.
do they really know? Do they know?
Well, the millennials are about what, 37 now, 38. I forget the numbers.
Yeah. Well, I hope they do. So anyway, Johnny Depp came out the trial recently
Yeah.
that he made the decision to divorce Amber Heard
Now, why would he do a thing like that?
on the day
Go on.
when, at the time, the moment
Yeah.
when she literally took a dump in the bed.
I don't believe you. You're a liar.
That's what he said in court. He's like, that's when I decided I was going to divorce her.
Did she deny it?
Oh, no. This is a story that has gone around. There's a lot of, there were witnesses. Like, this is how crazy this was. She took a dump in the bed, and there were other people around to see it. Not just Johnny Depp.
So it was during a wild party, because they're known to have wild parties.
Some kind of wild, well, she was having a wild party. That's definitely
Yeah,
true.
they're known to have, so they had a wild party, and there were probably drugs involved.
You know,
And so she wasn't thinking straight.
I thought I was being original when I said this, but apparently Bill Burr beat me to the punch. It's like, are you telling me there's no reason to punch a woman? Like, no, that can't be the case because I can think of 6 off the top of my head. Like, my thought is that you should be able to discipline somebody like that ahead of time.
No,
In other
man.
words, if you'd just like
No, man.
just a little
Come
bit
on,
of
man. No.
smack, little on the butt, like, hey,
No.
stop it.
No.
Don't be that wild.
No.
Could that not have staved off the divorce?
No.
Is it not good enough? Is it not a good enough reason to not get divorced?
Why do they let you out of your house, dude? They
Yeah,
can't do
this
that.
is-
You can't go out with those type of thoughts.
This studio is in my house, and we really can't be canceled, right? Like, we're on YouTube. I get it. YouTube could kick us off, but we'd go to BitChute and we'd be like, we'd be BitChute, DLive. I'm gonna start looking into all of our options because you know what? They've actually started kicking off. Stefan Molyneux was
Really?
kicked off. Yeah,
Stefan?
he was.
He's kind of crazy though.
I mean,
mean, come
crazy, whatever. But they said he was violent, and he is an
Oh.
adherent of the non-aggression principle. So I mean, like, he's definitely not out there. I think that actually gets up to the point of libel.
Does he incite violence? Maybe, perhaps.
Well, no, he doesn't incite violence
Okay.
because he believes in the non-aggression principle, which is to say that you don't start violence. If violence happens, maybe you deal with it, but you don't start it. And then there's also the what is it that Shion Head recently got kicked off. I don't know if you even know who she is. She was just a funny little girl that did some cool videos. She screamed at the left a lot. She hated feminists. She was actually, like, this is the thing that I don't get. She held the ideological views that Twitter would like. I don't understand, or not Twitter, but Twitter and YouTube. She held the views that these channels were looking for or trying to promote. How then does she get kicked off?
I don't know. Well, maybe she dumped on somebody's bed.
Well, she did not.
How,
I do
you
know-
know?
Okay.
How
so,
do you know in one of her rants that she went to somebody's house, took a dump on their bed, and that was it?
So,
You're
she
not
was
answering my
actually
question.
dating-
Inquiring minds want to know.
How
do you know?
do I know? Because I watched their social media. I know who she was dating, and I watched his social media feed. And if she did such a thing, I'm sure it would have appeared on a social media feed of some type. He would have told us. Skeptic. His name is Armored Skeptic, or
Yeah.
that's at least his handle. And I think he would have let us know if she had done the Amber Heard thing. If she'd
Maybe.
gone full Amber Heard.
Maybe Hamburger Helper will be the new thing. You know, a woman would just start taking dumps on men's bed as a cultural thing, and maybe
We're
we're not gonna take it.
Oh, we're not gonna let that happen.
Not gonna take it.
Nope.
We're not gonna take it anymore.
Everything that I've heard about Amber Heard indicates to me that she was just out of control.
Come on, Johnny Depp is out of control.
Well, I mean, how is he out of control? He's funny and
no.
quirky.
They say that he is really weird. I don't know who they are, but they say that he's weird. I can't tell you who they are, and I've
He's
never met the
weird?
guy. I've never hung out with the guy. I mean,
well,
he-
sure.
I've never hung out. I spent time with him, but the word is in Hollywood that he is not that he is into weird stuff.
Okay, but is he violent? Is he like what kind of weird are we talking about
We
here?
do not know. They do not say. Whoever they are, they don't say. They just say that he's an interesting guy,
Well,
interesting fellow.
He's an interesting guy, but that's different from like
Dumping on beds. I mean, she didn't hit him or anything. She's not violent either. She's just a bed dumper.
not violent. I mean, that's pretty.
No, that's not violent at all. She's a bed dumper.
Well, I mean, technically you're right that
She's a bed dumper.
I don't think it technically counts as violence.
Was
but
she
it's-
drunk when she? I mean, obviously she was high.
Mm.
There had to be drugs involved, unless she was trying to make a point. Maybe she said, "You're dumping on me." You know what? It's what you rascals told my countrymen. Don't tread on me. Maybe she was trying to say, "Don't dump on me," and she.
Yeah, but we said it
You know.
but in a much more elegant way.
Yeah. Well, maybe she's. Who knows?
Hey, you know what? I made a new meme today, by the way. Speaking of the
I've-
Gadsden flag,
Yeah.
it's got yellow background. It's got the
Mhm.
duck. It's got the little. It's got a duck instead of a snake, right?
Yeah.
And it's got a little patch of grass, just like the Gadsden flag. And instead of "Don't tread on me," it says "Duck around and find out." I love it, man. I love it. It's
I
duck
I-
around and find out. It's hilarious. I've got it up on. I've got it up on Twitter. Haven't put it up on Parlor yet, but have you seen how many people are jumping on Parlor these days?
Well,
You should
don't do the crime.
join Parlor,
I don't know, man.
and no, you really should, and get your handle Mod Squad Truth at Mod Squad Truth before somebody else does. You know?
All right. I think I'll do Parlor. I'll do
Okay.
it. Next week I'll do Parlor. Remind me again next week. I think I'll have it.
No, I mean, I'm gonna text you today, and
Text
when
me
you get
today.
home, you're gonna go get on Parler.
Mod Squad
It's
2.
easy.
Parler.
It's so easy.
All right, I'll do it.
So-
I'll do it.
I also I have already squatted at Xverum on Parler.
Are you gonna dump on my bed if you don't? If I don't
I'm
get
not.
on
I'm not gonna. I'm probably not even gonna come over. I mean, unless
I
you
mean,
invite
how does
me.
that work? I mean, where does the mindset come up? Where do you
You stand on the
even,
bed.
even if you're high? I mean, when
You
does it
s-
say?
you s-
You know what? Maybe she thought she was in the bath.
You stand on the bed. You squat down.
Yeah,
You yell something crazy, and then not. I mean, not that. not
like a Xena war cry, something like that.
No, not like a war. Like you give some crazy reason for what you're about to do,
We're
and then
not
you just
gonna take
do
it. You know, wait.
No,
wait.
you're gonna dump it.
Whoa. I have an idea. Maybe
We're not gonna take a dump it.
yeah, you know, maybe you know what happened. Maybe
We weren't.
She was high. Clear. I mean, that's all. Drugs had to be. Were there drugs involved?
I
Did
don't-
anybody? Did he say that?
I don't know.
Well, there
right?
would have
Like,
to be.
There doesn't have to be.
There have to be drugs
some-
involved
Man, I tell you what.
because
how
there were
many-
other people there.
How many women did you date before Anna?
Listen, it's like Lewis. It's like the comedian Lewis showing his privates in front of people. I think, or was he on the phone or something like that? I don't know.
On the phone. Like, listen, I've done stuff like that with girls. Like, but they was, it
I
wasn't like
do.
they were.
Oh, this is a.
It
this
wasn't
is a
like
family
they were.
show.
Whatchamacallit?
A family show. It's a family
Employees in
affair.
my case, or like aspiring comedians. I wasn't trying to help their career or anything. It was like that was the deal. That was like, we'd call up, we'd talk dirty to each other, and boom,
I thought you were a Christian and nice man. What am I
I-
hearing from? What are you?
I
My
am a
ears
Christian.
are burning.
I am a Christian.
Oh,
Well,
Wow.
listen. Do you think Christians don't like sex?
if Christians didn't like sex, there'd be no Christians.
Well, there would be. You just have to convert everybody.
Yeah, the Christians didn't like sex, there'd be no baby Christians.
Look.
Okay, so and we'll leave that alone. That's another show.
So
We'll talk about your love life later, because I really want to know. Inquiring minds want to know that. That's on my radar, and I will not forget it. I have to let you know.
well, you will
So, I wanna-
probably not catch me where you can get any more information about that out of me.
Yeah, well, the night's young. We'll liquor you up. not that you drink, but we'll liquor you up and find a way to put some steak in you. Didn't you have some steak cooking in the other room or something
We've
like that?
got steak going.
Get some
and
steak,
I
man.
don't know, like
Get some steak. Eat, man. A hungry man's an angry man. Eat.
I am.
Manze.
You know
eat,
what?
man.
I've been isolated a lot, and I've been really upset about businesses that are like going out of business.
Yeah.
Uh,
That really
the
hurt,
the
didn't it?
mask mandate, like that's.
Oh,
just
that's
nonsense.
annoying to me.
I'm not bending the knee. I've been everywhere. And some places tell you to leave, and then you do, and then some places are just like, oh, it's okay, just sit down and you'll be good. As a matter of fact, some of the restaurants have been like, well, you can't eat with a mask on anyway, so just sit down and you're all set, because that's their little loophole.
Spoken like a true white guy.
Well,
Black people never get any breaks like that.
I wouldn't say
Cer-
never.
certain
I mean,
things
if
cer-
you got money to spend and you
Ri-
go to the right
rich peop-
restaurants,
well, rich people do, but
That's
rich
right.
blacks do, but regular folk, you not wearing masks.
they're not gonna
They're
make
not.
those
They're not taking it.
concessions
Get-
for you at McDonald's.
Get to stepping. There's no way possible they're letting you get away with anything.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
the-
the truth is, this whole thing is
it's crazy.
it is crazy. And today, a judge in Leon County decided that he actually ruled that it was constitutional. Their Leon County mask ban or mask mandate. And I'm not sure exactly what their mandate is, but so anyway, our mask mandate is you can't buy or sell without, putting the mask on your face. See, here's the thing. I don't know how judges can look at the Constitution and the Supreme Court precedents, like even just Roe v. Wade, right? Like, where in the Constitution does it say you have to, or you should be allowed to murder a baby? Nowhere, right? And they actually said in Roe v. Wade it was in the penumbra of the Constitution, the fuzzy, shadowy edge of things. And if that isn't the fuzzy, shadowy edge of things, how is, not being forced to wear a device that literally restricts your breathing, not in the fuzzy shadow of things.
Because people
Well, there's actually a
Are
Florida
s-
statute that
people
prohibits it.
are scared.
People
And
are scared.
Scared people.
But the
and-
judge didn't really seem scared.
Oh no, trust me. Everybody they're making when California
Uh-huh.
can ban a churches from singing. If you guys don't know this, you've probably heard about it. In California, no singing allowed. I don't know, maybe it's for worship leaders or for the congregants. What happened to separation of church and state? When you can say stuff like that,
Well, what happened to freedom of religion? Is really what
freedom
it
of
comes down
religion.
to. Yeah.
Freedom of religion. What happened to freedom of religion? Wait, for my detractors,
Uh-huh.
well,
You
you're
don't have
not
any
free to
detractors yet.
you're not free to kill anybody. You're a murderer. All that foolishness. Listen, you guys, you Americans, you British people, you Westerners, need to stop punking out.
There
You're
is-
allowing this virus to punk. Yes, my mom died. Listen, my mom died of corona and complications. I have a cousin that died of corona and complications.
Uh-huh.
I have a family member another family member who is at high risk. If she caught it, she would probably have to be hospitalized immediately because she has COPD. I understand. So I'm not being callous when I say this, but what I'm saying is that we have to get to the place where we're not letting a virus stop us from living.
Right?
And I think that's where we've lost our collective minds. And all because we're scared of dying. That's what I had a meeting with a bunch of church people, and I reminded them that, well, they didn't know, actually, but I told them something they didn't know, that during the bubonic plague, Martin Luther and his wife took care of people with the plague
Right?
during the bubonic plague. And you got church people not scared to go outside, closing churches and not opening churches yet. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah.
And I think that allowing the people in California, I know that there's going to be lawsuits and they'll be able to sing again in California in church. But my point,
no, the Supreme Court actually, there was a case went to the Supreme Court already and asked for an injunction against the governor's orders, and the Supreme Court said, "We don't know. We're not doctors," and that I know we didn't think they were. We didn't think the Supreme Court was doctors. We thought they were judges in the highest court in the land. I want to know, is this legal? I'm not coming to the Supreme Court, hey, can I get checked out here? I need a checkup. No, we came and said, we want to know if this order is legal. Shutting down churches, is that a legal thing? Is that something the governor can do? In fact, we're not even really asking. We're telling you, we know for a fact it's not.
David,
The First
David,
Amendment says
I'm not
you
a
can't.
doctor. I'm not a doctor.
Right? I get you. That is what the Supreme Court says when they want to punk out. That is
Yeah,
what the
punk
Supreme
out.
Court
Exactly.
says when they want to punk out.
And
we're not doctors.
My question is, what sort of
Damn it, Jim. I'm a
politi-
Supreme Court justice, not a doctor.
what a political? Yeah, that's funny. That's well done. That's a good one. You should do is meme the damn it, Jim. I'm a Supreme Court justice, not a doctor.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's
Actually,
brilliant.
you just get a picture of the whole court and say, damn it, Jim, I'm a Supreme Court, not a doctor.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Come on, guys. What type of undue political or social pressure is everyone under that we are allowing we're allowing these atrocities and the blatant disregard of our rights because we're too scared to die? What happened to the people who would say,
We
give me
have-
freedom, do or die?
We have the wrong people in these offices. That's the problem.
It's not the people, man.
It is the
Listen,
people. It's
not
the people in the
I can't-
offices.
no.
They are weak.
No.
They are
No,
They are cowards.
I can't say that. I can't say that. We are by the
can.
people, for the people. for the and the we Americans or
No,
the
no, but
Americans.
we are not a. We're not supposed to be a democracy. We're supposed to be a republic. We're not supposed to bend to mob rule. We're supposed to uphold the rights of individuals.
If you will, if listen, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying it's expedient to bend to mob rule when people are dying because
It's extremely expedient.
because the optic is you killed people, you're not getting elected next year.
Well,
Or next term. And that's the thing. You help kill people, and people have very long, when it comes to death, people have very long memories. Now, when it comes to other things, they can let it go, but when it comes to death and COVID, they love talking about death. They love talking about death and the cases. And then you notice that even in Florida, they're not talking about how many COVID deaths we have.
Hey,
They're talking
because-
about how many cases we have.
I know. Yeah, cases now, because cases are rising and deaths weren't, and now the deaths are eking up a little bit, and they're like, oh, look at that.
It's,
I mean,
it's let's face it. So that undue social pressure is affecting the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court really is supposed to be isolated from all that. They're supposed to rise above that, but clearly they have not.
They don't.
They're scared of dying too.
Well, you see, here's the thing. I think the Supreme Court needs to have their own rulings imposed upon them. The things that they say that that you can do to a innocent American citizen, basically and don't get me wrong, like I'm gonna say a couple things here, but it should definitely be researched and verified, and and then only the judges that voted for that particular thing should be subject to it. But like, for instance, there was a case where a woman was arrested on a Friday
Yeah.
for a speeding infraction
Yeah.
and then strip searched and sent to county.
Yeah.
As it turns out, apparently you can strip search attractive women just by claiming they were speeding. That is a crazy, crazy loophole. I wonder how many times that has been utilized. Anyway, probably not too
Wow.
many, but at least some. Because there was, right after that happened, there was a case in Florida where the officers were trying to strip search a girl on the side of the road and stuff like that, and it was caught on camera. Yeah, I mean, there's been a
Really?
lot of, yeah, it is crazy what they think they can get away with.
A lot of people believe that things like that do not go on, and that these are only small, isolated incidents. And you know how I feel. I believe that that people, I won't say most, I would say that people are generally tainted without a sense of morality, general morality in some ways. And when given the opportunity, especially when you have power over people, absolute power at times will corrupt absolutely. And you see that with the police officers.
I know we've talked about this before. I disagree.
I know you do, but
I think the power is a test. And so, like, for instance, when I used to work in a manufacturing facility, we used to make electronics. We used to make these boards, right? And a circuit board doesn't usually burn up under the test. It is tested, right? So you make it, and then you test it. And when the board fails the test, it is not because the power you applied destroyed the board. It is because the board was faulty to begin with.
Okay, I can see that.
So, yeah, I think that the power is what tests men, and if their metal is weak, they will bend and break.
For instance, the difference between a super criminal and Superman. Superman is supposed to represent the best in us, a person with power who subjects himself to never using it and only using it for good.
Well,
Except for the good of others, and I think that's what he represents.
and
then,
the thrill of Lois Lane.
yeah, well, and what about the anti-Superman, the little boy who was evil?
Bizarro or
No.
talking about-
There's a movie about a young boy who almost the same origin story as Superman. He ends up with superpowers and he's evil.
I
forgot
have
it's
no
it's
idea.
a horror movie of some sort, and it's about this. It's basically a study on what would happen if, when Superman was a boy, he was evil.
Well,
And I think it's Brightburn. I think the movie's name is Brightburn, and it's a terrifying view of what would happen if Superman, as a young man, were evil. And it's I haven't seen it, But the trailers make me think, you know what? What a study on the difference of Superman and this kid.
Interesting.
And
I think the truth is most people, if they were in that position where they had a lot of power, would use it to their advantage.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, what do you want though? Like, here's what can turn it around. Let's say you have that much power.
Yeah.
What then do you decide that you want anymore? Like, in other words, if once you can get anything you want, why obtain it through immoral methods? Once you can, like, let's say you're the president of the United States and you're a single man, you could probably date a supermodel. You could probably date, like, I mean, maybe not any supermodel you want, but there's going to be a supermodel out there who's going to be like, date the president? Yes, absolutely. Check that box. You know, maybe you can't get Taylor Swift, but I'll bet you can get some really hot young pop star. You can get some young actress to hang on your arm at a state function, you know? So then you have plenty of money, right? Like, you're not worried about money at that point. You're not, you know, most of what you have, like, it's not necessarily taken care of, but like, you are at least staying rent free in the White House, right? So like, then you have to pay for food and stuff like that. That's fine. But at what point do you say, okay, I've got everything I need. Now, let me help people. Let me do this job at some point. I mean, like, besides that, you have to want the job to go for it. But I mean, if you have enough power, it seems to me that you should get to the place where you come to realize that hurting people isn't in your best interest, or there's no reason to do it.
Well, I think the megalomaniacs tell themselves that they know what's best for the greater good. Listen, you know, to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs.
But those are actually
it's
usually not powerful people. Those are like weak and small people, don't you think?
No, a lot of powerful people. Think of Zuckerman.
No, not truly powerful.
Facebook, Zuckerman, one of the most powerful media moguls. He doesn't believe in personal freedom, at least not for the poor or for those who are not him. He believes in.
Do you really think that? Because I mean,
yeah,
he made at least a couple of moves where he said, "Okay, we're not going to." You know, he started to support free speech. He started to say, like, okay, we're not gonna determine which political ads are false or misleading. I mean, that's
after he was taken to court.
No. I mean, this was before he was taken to court. I mean, they decided they weren't gonna. It was about a year and a half ago or so, and people started screaming about Trump, and Trump was like putting something out there, and they were like, "Oh, this is misleading," and he was like, "Listen, we're not. That's not our job to determine what's misleading, what's not."
That's because Trump had a symposium, and
a social media, the social media thing.
That when he said, and they were saying, "Listen, if you're gonna do business here, you need to figure out and because they were saying that Republicans, we talked about it in our show.
Yeah,
we were saying that Republicans were being, and so that once he did that symposium, people started to straighten up and fly right.
The cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
You know what today the news is today? People are saying cancel culture never existed. What are you talking about? That's not a thing. We've never been doing that. No.
Oh, yeah.
All the people who've been doing cancel culture, like today, they're just like, no, we don't do that.
You've been dumping on Johnny Depp's bed, and you know it.
Yep.
I'm sorry if that came out incorrectly and loud and brash, but I mean, you know, they've been dumping on the wrongs of others, and I don't believe in the cancel culture. I don't believe, you know how we've talked about this before. I've said it many times, but I think one of the challenges is to circle right back to what you're saying. I don't believe we really get what it's like to lose your freedom especially when you're well-to-do, because those who are well-to-do often, which is what makes what you're saying so poignant.
Right.
When you say the Supreme Court should be able to live the ones who live their verdicts.
Right.
And or their decisions, but most people who are well-to-do,
they never have to worry about it.
They
right?
never would ever have to worry about it. They're insulated. They do not understand poverty because they've never walked in their shoes. I remember I was at one place, and this guy, this pastor, he decided that so we would all experience what it was like to be homeless, that everybody should sleep in their backyard with tents. I said that was supposed to make us understand what it was like to be homeless.
Hey, let's go camping.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do what they do every day
for one night.
without reprieve. Let's do it for one night
And
out behind our house, so that if we need something, we can go inside and get it.
so we can understand. It's a Never mind. So anyway, it's you're so isolated from the world around you that's not true. You're so isolated from the other people
Well,
that you don't understand. So, well, why can't they just get jobs? I mean, what's going on with them? Why can't they just do so and so? Why can't they? What do you mean they? And so the Supreme Court, height of isolation.
right.
Height of isolation.
Well, and they always think about it as somebody else. Like, what can you do to someone else? And I think the Supreme Court needs to start thinking about what could they do to me? How could this be turned on me, and how could my rights be violated if I rule that you don't have this right here?
Well, and that's the problem. They're so isolated that they're unaffected.
Mm-hmm.
They're unaffected. You have to. What's the word? The only way to do that is if you had different people who are affected negatively by their decisions come and talk to them and share their life story. And until you have that,
Would they even do that? Would they even care?
No.
Like, in other words, they have
No,
people come and bring cases from them.
But that's not
they
the-
sit in judge court.
Yeah, but that's a
But
case.
they don't really care about individuals.
That's a case. That's not someone saying. I was watching a show. Okay, I was watching a show. It was with, I forget who it was with. It was with the original gentleman who played the Odd Couple, and it was with another great actor, and they played presidents. They played two presidents who were on the run because someone was trying to kill them.
Are we talking about Walter Matthau and
No, but it was the other one who played opposite Walter Matthau on the Odd Couple, but he played with another gentleman. And they played a Democrat and Republican president, and they were in somebody's car, in somebody's trailer, right? And I don't remember exactly what she said, but they were arguing about something, and she said, "Mr. President, sir, I would like you to leave. My husband lost his job with your cuts, and then I lost my job with your cuts." She pointed to both presidents, and this is our home. They weren't camping. This was where they lived. And she said, "I lost my job through so-and-so, and he lost his job when you did this bill."
yeah.
And it's very rare that people can empathize. The Supreme Court can empathize because they don't see the result of their decisions, really. It's not as if they're walking among the people. You know what I'm saying? They're walking among the people, and how has this affected you? Wouldn't it be interesting?
Jacques
Is after they made
Lemon.
if after they made a decision, every decision they made was studied for 3 months. So you make a decision, and then you say the decision is in, you call it development, or in what do you do when you're studying something?
Review?
Yeah, it's in review. We've made the decision, but we've sent a team out to review what the decision will do to American people. And so you actually have a town meeting, and you talk to different
Are
Americans.
you talking about for the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
After they make a decision, you
that's
have somebody study what the decision meant and how it's affecting Americans, and then they have a right to overturn or review their decision.
Well, it's not really how the Supreme Court is supposed to work.
I don't know.
It's not a results-based business. It's the law. And what does the law say? And so, if the law says that the people are entitled to be secure in their persons, places, things it affects, then you decide that, well, your phone's not an effect or a thing or a place or whatever else, so we can just look at it whenever we want. I mean, then it's not a matter of the effect of that. It's a matter of that it actually is a violation of the rule, and they are constantly breaking the rules and coming up with reasons to break the rules because they want a certain effect. That's the problem. The problem is not that they don't know what the effect is. The problem is that they are looking for a certain effect, and they want the effect that will make them happy, but it won't necessarily make everybody else happy. And because they think that they are in a certain position and they're not making the rulings agnostic to the positioning, right? So if it won't ever affect them, they're not too concerned about the right. That's ultimately what it comes down to.
I mean, no Supreme Court justices are getting stopped by the police. I can guarantee you that.
Mostly, that's probably true.
Yeah.
And they're certainly.
And if they do,
if they get stopped, they're not
get
gonna.
stopped, I'm Supreme Court Judge so and so. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Run
Exactly.
along. Run along.
Exactly.
Please. Yeah. So.
You know what? We need people who are just willing to say, I don't care what court you're a judge in. You were speeding back there, and I'm going to pull you over, and we're going to talk, and I'm going to give you a ticket. That's what we need. You know, I mean, of the thing, like, I don't really like speeding tickets, but if you're going to give speeding tickets, you give it to anybody who's speeding, not just, you know, the people who can't defend themselves. That's a ridiculously bad thing to do.
Well, you know, so back to the dump, because I think this all has to. It ties together. There's a certain amount of synergy in the dumping.
Well,
it all ties together. It all ties together. The Supreme Court is dumping on Americans at times.
Well, they are. You know what? I think that's today. You know what they did? The Supreme Court decided that Oklahoma
Yeah.
belongs to the Indians.
Let me sing that song. Oklahoma. Okay, what?
Oklahoma belongs to the Indian reservation, according to a 1900s treaty.
Yeah. Okay.
Like an early 1900, like 1906 or something like that, treaty. That land is under the jurisdiction of the American Indians that are in that area.
You know what?
I can't remember what tribe it was either.
You know what? We definitely, we Americans definitely how would I say this in a way that's apropos?
Hey, listen, we won, kicked their butts.
No.
They were
No.
savages. Don't think they weren't. Just
wow.
because Indians today aren't necessarily savages the way they were back then,
Wow.
but they would come in and they would kidnap women and they would do whatever they wanted with them.
Wow.
And they would I'm dead serious though.
Wow.
They didn't believe in the same kind of rights and ethics that we believed in.
Wow.
They would just do whatever they wanted.
Wow.
They were in fact savages.
Wow. That is such propaganda.
It's not propaganda.
It's
That's actually
propaganda. All
listen.
of them were
it
not
was
savages.
the reason. No, they were. It's a culture thing. It's not like hey,
That's
this.
the most
It's not like I'm
racist
saying they're
thing you
criminals.
said on
No.
the show.
I'm not saying they were criminals.
It's even worse because
I'm
you said it was their
saying
culture.
that
That makes it
their
worse.
culture did not respect property rights, didn't respect women, didn't respect a lot of things. Things that we cared about.
Wow.
Listen, your daughter, your wife gets kidnapped by some Indians. They hold on to her and do whatever they want with her for, a couple of months, and then she finally escapes and gets back and tells you the story. You'd call them savages too. That is why the settlers called them savages.
I have to. Wow.
They didn't always,
Wow.
and you're right,
Wow.
they didn't always do it. But I mean, it wasn't
Wow.
a moray in their social system.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
listen, you're
Do you know how
completely,
many nations? Do you know how many Indian? Wow. You know what?
Yes,
we need to
there
put
were
a pin on
a
this.
lot of Indian nations.
We need to pin this.
Okay.
And we need to talk about this at the beginning of our next show because there's
Here's
so
what I'm
many
saying.
things.
This was like literally we were alien to them, right? They did not have any idea what we were all about. The settlers, right? They didn't have.
Excuse me. Who did they rape when doing Plymouth Rock?
Nobody. But that's because I happen to know that they actually there was my on my grandmother's side,
Mm-hmm.
on the light side of the family.
Go on.
There is actually a story
Yeah.
where they built an enclosure
Yeah.
and they set it up so that everybody could sleep in there. And then there were actually Indians who had infiltrated the enclosure and they had wished them ill. And one of my ancestors, a little girl at the time, noticed that these men looked strange and they were shifty and they were darting around and looking all around and they weren't talking and they didn't know English. And they actually turned out to be infiltrators and they were going to slit the men's throats and kidnap the women and let their friends in the middle of the night. This almost happened, but it didn't because this little girl spoke up.
At Plymouth Rock. Come on.
Yes, I believe it was Plymouth Rock.
And look, there are always in
Look.
every nation there are good and there are bad.
Okay, but this
I
is
would
the
not
thing.
gonna believe
That's not the question. Is not good or bad people, right? We're not talking about morality of that some
No.
people are bad
what
people
you're
and some people
saying
are good
is
people.
even worse.
What we're saying is
and
that
it's
some
even
people,
what you're saying is that they don't know how to be
their
good.
philosophy. But
They're
let me ask you
animals.
this: I mean, what philosophy do we know about the Indians? What philosophy? What books on philosophy do you have from the American Indians? Nothing. It was all oral tradition. It was all whatever they wanted it to be. I'm telling you,
Really?
there was. Well, listen,
You
like,
poor,
okay. Hey, did
poor
you know?
tortured soul.
Did you know there
Bless your
are
heart.
tribes in South America that eat people? They're cannibals, and they don't think it's wrong. They do it thinking that it's perfectly acceptable.
You know what?
I'm not saying that
In
these people were
every-
making a choice to
in
do evil. I'm
every-
saying that they
in
were ignorant
every
of.
culture. There are people who eat people.
No,
In
no.
every culture.
In some cultures,
it's
it's called dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, in some cultures, they have.
your lunch. Look, we have to cut this. I gotta go because I
do.
gotta go because I got stuff to do. But listen, you're killing me. We gotta start a show with this because this is wonderful. In
Okay.
fact, I have so many. I would love to study. I'm going to do a study on Indian culture because I do not know it.
There, but for the grace of God, go I.
Yeah.
Listen, we know. David said, "I thank the Lord for the law because without it, I would not know what love is."
Yeah.
The law is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and to love your neighbors yourself.
Yeah.
And it is actually a necessary component of a civilized nation to have, the religious background that we have, because at the very least we understand, even if we can't secularly construct it, we understand what it is to, the laws against murder, laws against rape, laws against armed robbery.
So
Like,
you're
we
saying that
understand that.
none of the hundreds of Indian nations ever had that.
I'm saying that they did not have what we had. They had a different understanding of
That
it.
is the
And
most.
no, it's not.
That
Because if
is
you don't
the
have the
mo-
Bible, then how do you have the Christian ethos?
That is.
They
the-
didn't have the Bible.
So?
They didn't have a Christian ethos.
The Bible says
they
the
had
heaven-
an
the Bible says-
entirely
The
different.
Bible says the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth its handiwork.
Okay.
So my point is that, and the Holy Spirit still talks to whether you have a Bible or not.
and Jesus
So
came
my-
to the United States and talked to the Native
Listen,
Americans.
I didn't say that. What I said was
I-
that the Holy Spirit, if you're a Bible believer, the Holy Spirit, the Bible says. The
I'm
Holy-
not sure it says what you. In other words, it may say something about the Holy Spirit. I'm not sure it says what you think it's saying.
No, I know exactly.
It's not like, oh, well, it's going to come over here and make the people good. No, it didn't. And people
God
get to choose.
God always gives you an opportunity to know right
Sure.
from wrong.
You have an opportunity. Okay.
So
and,
what
and
what you just said was that within the culture of millions of Americans,
Uh-huh.
they didn't have any moral fiber whatsoever, and it wasn't their fault. They just don't know any better.
I'm not saying it wasn't their fault. I'm saying that the culture was not. Cultures can be good or they can be bad, and
Okay,
the
wait,
culture was bad.
What do Africans call Europeans? What do they call them? Oh yes, that's
Colonizers?
a colonizer. That's one of the most colonizer pieces of
not-
refuse
it's not.
that I have ever heard come out of
Listen.
anyone's mouth. Not even your mouth.
People.
Anyone's
I
mouth.
understand.
I
But-
cannot believe you just said that of all the Indian nations.
I'm not. But here's the thing. I'm not saying they were not that they were in some way deficient or they weren't full people or anything. I'm saying they were
course not.
men and women. They were people who are fully capable and then chose what they chose.
Okay, well, you know what?
And a culture can choose.
You know what? We
Most
need-
people go along with the crowd. Why do you think
we,
God calls us sheep?
we really need
that's
to
where the
discuss
herd went.
this one. This is a great subject. We you know, I've got to do some research. I
All right.
have to do research on this one.
Do your research. You're going to be a little shocked.
No, I
You know, I
promise
know a-
you,
I know a
I
great-
will not.
I know a great YouTube channel that just got snuffed out that had a lot of wonderful information on this particular
Oh
topic.
yeah, of course they do. It's racist. Of course it is. That's racist
It's not.
dribble.
It's not racist. I'm not saying that they're incapable. I'm saying that their culture was
no, wait.
not a Christian
It's-
culture.
it's even
they
worse.
didn't have a Christian ethos.
They don't want
and
to.
so, well,
And that's even worse.
They-
They don't know any better. They don't
yeah,
want to.
do
That's what
men
racists
really
always say.
want to be like? I mean, most men don't go, "Oh, I'm going to be upstanding and I'm gonna choose the right thing, even if it cuts against my interests." And but men don't really do that. That's not like what men do.
Really?
It's,
I cannot believe that these words are flowing out of it.
that is not.
Don't listen to those shows anymore.
That is
They're
not how
warping your
men-
mind.
No, that is not how
Warping your
men
mind, brother.
naturally
Warping your mind.
behave.
Look,
Even Paul said the natural man can't.
yeah, okay. With heart is desperately wicked, who can know it? Listen,
Right.
once again, to say that a whole culture
Well-
was devoid of the morality that rape is wrong and that kidnapping is wrong.
Especially, well,
And,
let's
and,
say,
and, not, and how
let's
many?
say pockets, at least pockets of it,
well, yeah, we know
large
that,
pockets,
wait, hold on.
large
now.
pockets
We
large
do
enough to
not-
have little mobile cities.
We do not. We have to have this conversation again. This is awesome. I
All
love
right.
stuff like this. Makes me happy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we started late. We're gonna end now, and we will probably continue this later, or Lou will just realize how wrong he is after he does some research and
Yeah,
never
buddy.
bring it up again,
Yeah,
which is
buddy.
actually the more likely scenario.
Oh, I'm bringing this one up again, cousin. Yes, sir, cousin.
All right, guys, you have a great day. Talk to you later.
Take it easy, guys.